Today on Uncommonly Good MTG, we're playing Favorite Decks Day of April 2023. Will your favorite deck make the list today? Stay tuned to find out. Hello and welcome to Uncommonly Good MTG. I am your host, the Grand Poobah of my Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes, Chapter 2023, Dr. Yukon Suckett. Yes, thank you. Filmed before a live studio audience. Thank you so much. Yukon Suckett. Word to your mother. So I'm broadcasting to you once again from my secret underground headquarters. And today it is Top 5 Favorite Decks Day. Woohoo! Woo-woo-woo! Top 5 Favorite Decks! This time is for April of 2023. What we're going to do is we're going to look back upon all the decks we played. And I'm going to pick out the 5 decks that I had the most fun playing with. I've been doing this every month so far this year. We've seen December and then January, February, March. This is April. And I'm really looking forward to this month. I think it's going to be good. So let's get started off with the stats. In this month, it turns out I played 77 decks and 486 games. That was over a 30-day period, which means I played an average of 2.5 decks per day, 16.2 games per day, and that means I played about 6.3 games per deck. But just think about it. I'm putting out like a video per day featuring one deck, which means that I have to throw away like 1.5 decks every day just to be able to put out one video. So that kind of sucks because I can tell you I'm at that point now where I pretty much don't have the time to play this for fun. I just have the time to play it to put out videos. So I have to make those fun for me. And I'm just looking for good stuff to put out. And unfortunately, you have to go through a lot of crap to get there. And yeah, it's usually more crap than good decks. But, it's all worth it if you can find that interesting deck. So yeah, in a 30-day period, 77 decks. And I know for some of you think, amateur, 77, that's, 2.5 decks per day. Whatever. Yeah, maybe. But, I haven't been able to make that sweet YouTube money yet. So I can't retire from my job and just, be a full-time YouTube person yet. Maybe next month, right? Maybe next month. All right, so let's take a look at what makes a deck one of my favorite decks. All right, so here's the chart. What is it? Number 1, decent chance of winning. I'm not in for it. The winning's not it, right? But it's got to have a decent chance of winning. I'm okay. As long as it's over like a, 50, 55% win rate and it meets the rest of the criteria, that's a good deck to me. I just want to be in there, man. I'm not ranking. I mean, you guys know that. You complain about it all the time. No, I'm not playing on the ladder. What's the point of playing if you're not playing on the ladder? It's because I'm just having fun. And I hate it when you lose a game or you're playing with crap decks and you get your ranking torn down. That just kills me. So I don't need that pressure. I just need to be out in the play queue playing because it's all about fun, and that's what I'm looking for here. So I'm looking for a fun deck. I'm looking for one that has a good chance of winning, a decent chance, but it doesn't have to be it. Number 2, it needs to put up a good fight. So I don't need a deck where I'm just sitting there, playing blue or red cards where I'm just drawing constantly, trying to flood my graveyard with cards so that I can, put out the one bomb that just wins the game. That is so incredibly dull. I want a deck that is fighting. I want a deck where as they're doing stuff that I'm engaging and vice versa. I mean, there needs to be the wrestle. We need to be wrestling around because that's what is good with play. That's why I enjoy a nice red deck. I mean, black's a little rough. You guys are getting me on the whole discard thing because, that's not it. But what I do like about that is that you're kind of pinning them down. And so when they put stuff out, it's not what they're looking for. I do enjoy that a little bit, but that's a good fight to me. And then, so number 3, the cards in the deck, like individually, have to be interesting. They've got to be something about the cards that is fun to play with. And that's why I like Swiss Army Knife cards so much. And just for you that don't know what I'm talking about, like a Swiss Army knife is this pocket knife you can carry around, but you can like pull like all these different pieces out of it, right? So sometimes it has like a little knife, other times it has a little like magnifying glass. Another one is a little like saw for cutting like a little tiny tree branch. Another one might be a little tiny ruler that measures out to 5 centimeters or something. I don't know what centimeters are. I'm an American and I don't know metric system. I'm sorry. So anyways, that's what I like, is I like cards that give you options. The other thing is card synergy needs to be interesting. And that's what I love. I love synergy between stuff. And kind of like the way that like Voice of the Blessed works with cards whenever you gain life. And so therefore it keeps getting bigger. And then as it gets bigger, it gets more stuff on it. Now, I make it sound like I really like Voice of the Blessed, but man, that guy's a total jerk. I kind of hate his guts. Because like when I play with him, everybody seems to have the cards, that just blow them away. I never seem to have it. I always have to suffer under freaking Voice of the Blessed. I love good card synergy. Love it. I think that's born from back when we used to play Tribal, like Tribal Elves or something, or Tribal Goblins. Oh my God. And for every elf you get out, like you have an elf that would say, tap this to get a green for every other elf you have. Man, that was fantastic. And then you play Fireball or something at that point for like 100 points, that kind of crap. It was so good. Love card synergy. And that's what we need in a deck, is card synergy. And lastly, I say it's for bonus points. It's the big finish. It doesn't have to be there. Your deck can be so good and so fun that it's a favorite deck without it, just because it plays along the way. But man, I love a big finish. Love a big finish. I want, you got to have that, Devilish Valet. God, I love Devilish Valet. I like to call him the nuke, because if you play him right, he is trampling in for like 100 or 200, maybe 1,000 points of damage. That is gorgeous. That is a beautiful way to end a game. What's another one? I'm trying to think what's other greats. I mean, you can come in with Shivon Devastator. You just pump the hell out of them because you got a big chunk of mana and you only cost 1 to put out an X, and he's flying. That is a good punch to the face, a big finish. Love it. So yeah, that's what we're looking for in the deck. Looks for repeat this. Decent chance of winning, puts up a good fight. The cards are interesting, or there's good card synergy. And lastly, big finish is a big bonus point towards what makes a favorite deck. So that's what we're looking for. But first, before we go to actually look at the top 5, let's give our honorable mentions for the month. And here they are. It's Azorius Incubate. That was a new one from March of Machine. What was great was, I'm not a big fan of Azorius. I used to be a long time ago when it was Ravnica. Ravnica Azorius, when it first came out, I really liked it quite a bit. But I don't know, last few sets, Azorius has just sucked. And the people that play it should all die in a fire. They're practically just blue players, because the only other thing they do is just pin your crap down with exile cards. Stupid jerks, right? Anyways, but Azorius Incubate, I really dug it because I love Incubate. Love it. In fact, I kind of hope to swing back to play with more Incubate, because I just loved tossing out all those little babies, those little pod babies, and then just cracking them open with those dudes that love to hatch them. And just getting those guys out, because even 3/3s with haste and everything, I mean, they could see them. Plus, you could wipe the board and they'd still be out there. Man, those were so good. Let's see. Number 2, Stun Fun. Stun Fun, man, was in my top 5 list for a long time, but it slipped out. Mostly because of one of the other decks that's in there is a big-time kind of copy of it, of Stun Fun. We'll talk about Stun Fun a little bit. Sorry for that. It's just, Stun Fun was all about stunning your other people's dudes or turning them into a legitimate business person, or maybe, I think, taking control of them. That's the fun blue stuff. That's the fun part. And the stun, of course, is putting the stun counters on. The last thing is it had the the phasing, the march of the blue march card that phases them all out. And then usually between, stealing other people's dudes, making their guys all out, not really great, you can put out a couple of good things, and then you just kind of march in and phase everything out and kill them. That was great. A nice amount of control. It was a good mono blue deck. Unfortunately, there's another deck a lot like it that was better, and it's in the top 5. The Stun Fun just became an honorable mention. And lastly, in here was PM, as in a Platinum Mythic rule deck I found that features All Will Be One. Now, I got to say, I'm going to just call it Obi-Wan. I prefer to say that over All Will Be One. Too much there. That Obi-Wan, that card is so good. It's the one that says whenever you place a counter on a permanent you control or yourself or something like that, you do that much damage to any target. Oh, sweet googly, that is such a good card. And so what I liked about it is I just love that you're just playing cards, you're playing your normal stuff, and Obi-Wan was just punishing things. You're just wiping out all their stuff left and right, and then just going after that guy's throat. It was such a beautiful way of just controlling the late game and just kill. Plus, it's playing Gruul, just some vicious red and green action. It was really good. I had a really hard time cutting that Platinum Mythic Gruul from the top 5 because it was a beautiful, beautiful deck. But 5 others tickled my fancy just a little bit more. All right, so without further ado, here is number 5. Run for it, baby. Get them before they get you. There we go. All right, so I got him down to 24. One, two, three, four, 5. Now he's down to 8 cards. I think we got this going. I gotta sit there and take the damage first. Like a sucker. Eight, huh? How much you got left there? 8? 3 times. Done! That's a mill deck, baby. Victory! As here we are with Dimir Mill. I know a lot of you don't like mill decks, but when those things go off, I really enjoy a good mirror deck. So, I'm sorry, but this definitely made my top 5. This may not be top 5 for you. But let's talk about it. So, if you enjoy a good mill deck, this one was a good one. What was it about it? It was finding out that the Toxrill Mindbreaker could be played twice because of Unearth. And all you have to do is attack. It doesn't even have to live. And so you get rid of half their library in one attack, half their library in another. So it's like, what is that? It gets them down to about a third, and a third of 60 is around 20 or so. Now you got to realize that they've already pulled like 7 to 10 cards by this point. So it's way lower than 20 when you get 2 of those attacks in. And then this guy by default can pull 15 as long as you pay for him full price. And so basically 1 Mindbreaker and 1 Jace can win the game for you. Now, the bad thing is that, you want to play this. You want to throw it away so you can play it for the cheap, because playing 7 is hard for it. So you kind of need to have 2 of these, or you need to have a couple of Jaces, because 2 Jaces makes about 30 cards. And one of these is going to, it's going to be whatever, let's say 20 to 25 cards maybe. And hopefully that'll win the game for you between either 2 Jaces and, 1 of these, or 2 of these and 1 of Jaces. That'll do it. Now, the interesting part is if the mill doesn't work, you got some other guys that are really going to help you out. Tezzeret is going to be turning like the Mightstone Weakstone into something awesome. The Celestis, the Bank Buster. You got a bunch of 4/4s that could be rolling out there. And that's nice, having a little bit of muscle in a mill deck. Yeah, altogether, this was a good deck. Why is that? Because it had a greater than 50% chance of win rate. It felt like you were doing something the whole time. The fact that we had negate in there, that kind of is disappointing, but we were putting down cards. We kind of wiped the board a little bit. We kind of pinned some stuff down. We'd be drawing for things. There wasn't a lot of creature action going on, so it really was about just wiping the board. The synergies were about trying to build up to where you can get your particular cards out and then lay down the bombs. It wasn't one at a time. You definitely had to do multiple layers to be able to get it. You couldn't just force everything. So the game kind of played. And, the one thing I like best about mill decks is that you just don't care about damage. Like, they keep life gaining. You're just like, I could care less if you want to gain life. All you care about is making sure that you don't go below 20. And the most disappointing thing about the current meta is that there's Toxic out there still. And that's a little bit too fast. And a lot of times that can beat this deck's butt down. But just milling after people, that was just, if you want a good mill deck, yeah, this was a good one. It was one of my favorites I've played with recently. I think I tried to play with like 3 different versions of mill decks this month. This is the one that came off the best out of all of them. So yeah, this was definitely in my top 5. Mill all the way, baby. Oh, cancel. Sorry. All right, Black King's on the table. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing anything tricksy. He deserves your worship and adoration. He is the Black King, Toxrill, the corrosive. He makes slug babies that looks like junk. You had trample? Yeah, no blocks were cool. Have a good time. Yeah, go to town. I don't care, man. How? I got a couple zombies. And we win. Boom, boom, goes the room. All right, so we are looking at deck list for Church of Toxrill V3. And so good to be back with the Black King again. Yeah, jumping ahead because I just want to call him Black King so bad. The reason why we call him the Black King is because he looks like he's wearing a crown with all those little eye stalks on his head. And it's black. And he's just so awesome. I'll be so disappointed when this rotates out. But, everything rotates out eventually, and that's what's wonderful about Standard. They come, they go, but you get 2 years with them, and then you get to think back upon how great it was before. But going back to the past and actually playing with old stuff, it's not as great as you remember. But right now, I'm going to try to relish my time with Toxrill as long as I possibly can. And it was great to be able to do that again. And I think there's 2 great ways of getting Toxrill out. One is Toxrill Ninjas. Oh, that's good. But also playing Toxrill and Clerics. And what's even better about Clerics in this case is the fact that they usually have life gain. And life gain is something I think is really important in the meta right now because there's so much stuff, usually you're playing against mono red all the time. And mono red's big weakness is life gain. So the more you can life gain out at the beginning, the better off you're going to be. And that's what like Luminar Veteran, Ilkor, the Phyrexian Missionary, this Alabaster Host Sanctifier. Those guys are just there to just keep you alive during the early part of the game. Because what you're really hoping for is to get old Light Bulb head out and some other cleric, so that you can pop them and pull out Toxrill the Corrosive. Now, I have Sheoldred in here, and the big problem is that Sheoldred isn't really great until your opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard, and I just think this deck usually isn't, when you're finally able to pull it off, Sheoldred's not ready to do that. Now, Sheoldred is a great card. It's a Minicy 4/5, and when she comes into play, she just, each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. That's great. It's a great card. But there's probably better things, and this deck isn't really going for the whole discard thing. So Sheoldred ends up being only half as useful as she should be. But the problem was the deck was so good otherwise, I just didn't replace Sheoldred. She was cool. She had her place. Maybe it'd be a better deck, but the deck was really good otherwise. Really good. So let's talk about why it was really good. Was there a greater chance of winning? Was it doing it on the regular? Yes. Was it a good fighter? Yeah, I'm going to say it wasn't much of a fighter. Really, it was about getting out guys and being prepared just to try to take out threats, trying to keep yourself alive with extra life gain, try to pin down their life as much as you could with what you could, but it was kind of just hovering in the early game. And that is somewhat of a detriment to me. But on the other hand, what this game really was about building up towards getting your Shadowrite Priest out, putting it out at the right time so he didn't have a chance to get killed, so you can go and pull Sheoldred out of there. Invasion of Innistrad was super cool. I really liked it a lot. And this Surge of Salvation, I thought this was great because it is so cheap and it keeps all of your creatures hexproof till the end of turn, which will keep Toxrill and whatever else you got going on alive for incredibly cheap, and it's a nice instant. Perfect card for this deck. That's one thing I really learned about this card is it was really, really great. So let's see. But the card Synergy, yeah, that's what I really dug about it, is because we're all, everything's got its place. It's trying to handle the game. We're trying to get a Shadowrite Priest out, another cleric. We got that synergy going on just so that we can place Toxrill and just let him be a jerk to everybody. Just pow, every turn, -1, every turn, -1. What are we getting out of the deal? Slug babies. And it was just a glorious dance at the end of it there. And Toxrill, he's not the big finish. He kind of is, but it's just that he will linger. He'll linger and just like cancer and just eat away at things. And unfortunately, that kind of gives people the time to get rid of him because he's sensitive, right? You could just shoot him. He doesn't have anything to protect him. Luckily, we got Surge of Salvation. If we can keep that around, we're good. And in fact, if there's anything we do for this deck, it's maybe add more of something that'll help keep your dudes alive. I think there was those protectors, the escorts you can sacrifice to give your dudes indestructible. That might be something good to do too. I don't know. But yeah, maybe that's Church of Toxrill 3-4 will focus more on ways to keep your guys alive a little bit more. But this one's got a really great balance for right now. But I love living with Toxrill. But yeah, usually people just give up immediately. So anyways, yeah, that's it. Church of Toxrill. Church is back in action there, baby. All right, and what I think I need is a copy of Sheoldred. Hello, I'm Sheoldred. Death! And guess what's not going to happen? Titan of Industry is not going to die. Yo. And guess who is going to die? You. Alright, fine. Alright, well, that's not a whole lot. Let's just go ahead and... There we go! Suck it, mole! Suck it! Victory! All right, so here's Simic Hijinx. Man, there is no Hijinx mechanic out there. It's just something I put on there to make sure that, uh, to express what I feel about this deck. I mean, I did put it together myself. It has some of like I don't like blue. Blue can go die in a fire, but there are some good things about blue, and this deck does it. Croaking Counterpart. Number one, the artwork on there is just hilarious. I think it's really funny, and then creating a frog token of something else is really good. Like when I can make a frog version of Sholdred, oh man, that's just a dream come true. Blue Sun's Twilight, taking control of another creature, impeding their momentum, and that art is just so incredibly sweet. And then keeping them pinned down for 3 turns. I know there's better, more efficient ways of keeping things out of the picture, but I don't know. I just love seeing them have those stun counters on them, watching it tick down. Kind of feels like a time clock, but it lets me know that the other person is suffering. I just love that. And of course, witness protection. Man, turning people into legitimate business people, that is the most hilarious thing in the world. What else is great about this? Surge engines. That's why I like this. Is why this was better than Stun Fun, is because we get all of the great things from Stun Fun, which is grabbing people, pinning them down, making them into legitimate business people. But we get Surge Engine. We get Croaking Counterpart. We get, Borenklex and Tyrannix Rex and Titan of Industry. It's just, you get to green up like crazy at the top there. So it's just having hilarious interactions at the early game, doing some kooky stuff, getting the Surge Engine out, which either is going to win you the game or cause so much distraction that they're not going to know what to do. And then eventually you just start laying down the hammer. Yeah, because you can even croak up on Titan of Industry, and that's just nuts. Plus, even Croaking Counterpart has flashback, meaning you're playing it from the graveyard. It means you get 2 uses out of every card. So this deck is just hilarious and powerful and good. How does this thing work out? Does this thing have a good chance of winning? Yes. Does it put up a constant fight? Absolutely. I mean, the only time this deck doesn't is if you're playing against somebody that's playing creatureless. And then it's just like, all right, what am I going to do with the rest of this stuff? You're getting out your Surge Engine, I guess, and maybe you're trying to make copies of it with the Croaking Counterpart, and then hopefully be able to protect it with things from Tyvar's Stand or something. Because, yeah, when they're playing creatureless stuff, it's like, what are you going to do? But anyways, lastly, are there interesting cards? 1,000% yes. Is there a big finish? Yeah, it's usually called Tyrannix Rex or Titan of Industry. Those dudes, each having their trample, are the guys that are going to finish off the game for you. So yeah, that's what makes this deck one of my favorites. Okay, here's our artifact. There we go. That's looking good. All right. He's flashing it in. And we win. Boom, boom. Goes the room. So the Backup Valet. Man, what a great deck. When I first saw this, I thought that Who Guessed had maybe made this deck specifically for me. Like he was trying to bait me into playing this particular deck just because it just has so much of what I love in it. Because I mean, the deal is that I'm sitting here, it's near the end of the month, right? I'm thinking, oh my God, I haven't played Boros Nuke. I'm going to have to put together another Boros Nuke deck. And I don't want to do that. I kind of, because like Boros Nuke is always hitting up number 1. It's been my favorite tech, like every single month, I think. And this was the first month I didn't have Boros Nuke as a number 1. But the Backup Valet it gave me the excuse to play a great deck that did exactly what I love, nuking, right? Which is the Devil's Valet itself. But doing something different with another deck. And it was great. Mono red, that Devilish Valet, right? Plus, we got to use a little bit of the the mom cards from the new sets. So it made it interesting to be playing new cards at the same time. Plus, I love that it gives the fling to the creature itself when it comes out, pumping it up and making it fling nice and cheap. So as long as you got enough mana, man, you can make that Devilish Valet do double his damage on top of the double damage he's already dealing. It is just, that was something I learned a long time in Magic cards, is that anytime you can double something, that's how you win a game. That's how you do it. But so, yeah, this card is blazing fast with mono red burn at the very beginning here, but then it starts raging into some of the cool stuff that's going on with like the Gleeful Demolition, being able to do a three creature drop for 1 mana, which is going to make that Devilish Valet just balloon out. It's just got such great synergy on it. So yeah, I'm talking about what it is. What is about this deck? Does it put up a good fight? Absolutely it does. Does it have a decent chance of winning? Absolutely it does. Is there interesting cards and good synergy? Yes. Check. And lastly, is there a big finish? Absolutely. Devilish Valet is that big finish. He's a big part of the synergy. Everything about this checks off what makes a deck one of the favorites in my list. One, two. All right. All your base are belong to us. Dude, all of those can be mine. You're gonna go after Chandra, you're gonna chew her, you're gonna drink her milkshake. Yep, you are. There we go. That's very pleasant. All right, let's do this then. Reconfigure it. Yeah, I know. The game started now. Victory! And here we are with Chandra Big Spells. I don't know how this became my favorite deck. It was just so fun. A good Rakdos deck, of course, could be tons of fun. This one just really, what it was Chandra. This Chandra here just completely provided so much goodness with the fact that it was copying all the stuff you got going on. It's like this early deck did a good job of just kind of keeping control of what was going on, allowing you to wipe out creatures, getting you some mana. It had a lot of good mana going on. Returning creatures from your graveyard to your hand, wiping the board some more, a lot more digging around so we can get the mana, so we can get into these 5s and 6s, and then is it 7s too? And it's all 6s. Good. Yeah, 5s and 6s. Because we have playing 2 Corrupts, fantastic. 2 Evoke Despairs, absolutely. 2 Burn Down the Houses, yes. All of that stuff is fun. Now, Shouldered is saying, hey, man, people have to discard. I'm thinking that Invoke Despair was the thing that we're trying to hope to get things into the graveyard over. At which point, then that means Shouldered had something to work with there. Shoulder's pretty good otherwise. But yeah, without having a strong discard base, I'm beginning to think Shouldered maybe not the right thing. But this was early on. We're playing Chandra Big Spells. I really like Shouldered. This is, I think, where I started to really be interested in her. And I thought she did well at the time. Going back to this deck, I don't know. Maybe she isn't right for it. Maybe something else would be better. What is this Capricious Hellraiser? It's been such a long time since I played it. This was one of those early things. You get to play things out of your graveyard. Yeah, and then Chandra helping that out. Man, it's just, it's a lot like, I'm trying to remember what that is. There's that enchantment that comes out that says every time you play an instant or sorcery, you play this other instant or sorcery. I kind of hate that card. Number one, because it always took me forever to put it together, but everybody else seemed to be able to throw those things together fine. And then you got to play against like 1,000 cards all at one time. This one isn't nearly as bad as that, but you do get doubles of everything, and it's fantastic. Mostly, if you see Chandra Hope's Beacon come out, you just got to kill her. She is way too devastating. Just incredibly good. So let's see. This deck, did it have a good chance of winning? Absolutely. Was there a good fight along the way? Well, the good fight was wiping the board a lot. That's what we were really looking for there. We weren't really wrestling so much, but once we got up into this level, it was just that whole, are we playing interesting cards? Yes, we are. Was there a bunch of good synergy going on? The synergy means playing awesome cards at twice each turn. Yeah, man, we definitely were. And that was tons of fun, in my opinion. Tons of fun. Was there a big finish? Usually, because all of these are big finish cards, and playing and hopefully getting them to fire off twice is a fantastic way of finishing the game. So there it is, number 1 for April 2023. All right, so that was my top 5 favorite decks of April 2023. And I hope that you enjoyed those decks as much as I did. If your favorite deck didn't make the list, go ahead and comment in the comments below and let us know what you thought your favorite decks were. I'd be really interested in hearing what that is. So if you decide to play with any of these decks, I hope that you had as much fun as I did.